Hey folks, Colin Evans, Evans Financial Group. While the greatest generation of our time experienced exploding economy and I'd say government and retirement and health plans, and as we start looking at baby boomers and our future generations, and we start thinking about the benefits that one generation saw versus another, and now we're starting to, as we're seeing those benefits being eliminated, reduced, and becoming a thing of the past when we're looking at retirement as employers started putting that burden on the employees and the individual to get them out of the loop of being responsible for things of like similar to pensions and things of that nature. In our baby boomer generation and those going forward and continue to, I think we're going to continue to see those benefits be reduced even further and or eliminated. Excuse me. And that responsibility is going to rely, more or less on the individual from, what is it for our housing? What is it for our food? What is it, going to take for health care and things of that nature as that responsibility gets put further and further on the individual as opposed to it being placed onto an employer or even the government, as our government's known to change the rules at any given time. So these are 7 questions you really need to ask yourself and help you dive into, and something to really think about for those. It could be those in retirement or those that are thinking about it, or it's even on the back burner, on the horizon, ways down the road. These are a series of questions that are really detailed to help you kind of dive in and specifically think about your own personal scenario. So 7 questions to ask yourself. Let's go. Which assets will you hold in tax-deferred vehicles versus taxable vehicles? This is something to think about, and especially when it's time to start taking those retirement income dollars, and now we're going to start living off of them. Are we going to be taking them from our taxable accounts and our non-taxable accounts or tax-deferred accounts? And question number 2, which kind of partners off of this one, from which vehicles do I want to withdraw that income first? This is kind of where the strategy of having a true actual retirement income plan in place comes into play. And this is where working with an advisor and tax person, a CPA, come into really coordinating these things, because there are strategies to reduce, and I've seen it eliminate or go down to a 0% tax bracket. It is possible based on the structure on which directions that we're taking income from. Question number 3, when should you start taking Social Security? There is some different theories on that. In my opinion, there's no magic bullet on that one. This is okay, how much is it going to pay me at this age? How much is it going to pay me at this age? How much is it going to pay me at this age? As you start looking and going, well, do I want to retire now? Do I want to defer these? Or I could retire and still continue to allow that Social Security to grow a little bit and get further down the road. The flip side of that is we don't know when our end date is personally, and would we miss out on anything or any benefits of revenue that we could have lived off of, or even our families could have used during that time? So it's just a very, very viable question, something to think about. Question number 4, should you roll that 401k over into an IRA? And typically when it's time to retire, that's a pretty common thing that happens is we're rolling those 401ks over, getting them out of the employer plans and putting them into something self-directed. Simple fact is that it gives you more options and more availabilities of things that you can do with it, as opposed to what could be the employer-sponsored plan within a 401k. And I'm kind of lumping those together. 401k could be a 403b, a TSP, things of that nature, but you typically see a limited structure of where you can place your money and things that you can do with it. So when you go to roll that into an IRA, you've got a whole lot more open world of options that you can choose from. Number 5, who should you designate as your beneficiary for your IRA or those qualified plans? Typically what we see is the spouse is the primary, and then the children are followed in as secondary. But what's also is in today's time frame and day and age is we see a lot of blended families, and there could be his kids and her kids, and he might want her to have part of his IRA, but he wants the kids to have a certain percentage of it as well, and that's okay. That is completely okay, but having those conversations and asking that type of a question now prevents any problems or things that can be handled that could come up and need to be addressed down the road if we go ahead and address those things now. Number 6 is, could a Roth IRA conversion be appropriate? We have done quite a few of these over the last couple of years. Reason being is we are still in Trump's tax codes, and not to get political by any means, but the tax codes that Trump set in place are some of the lowest that we've ever seen in the history of this country. And that being said, it could be something to think about if I want to go ahead and start converting my IRA dollars into Roth dollars and paying those taxes now while we're in these lower brackets. When we host events quite often over the years, actually we've hosted events since almost 2003. And as of the last couple of years, giving them, one of the questions that we've just kind of nonchalantly polled the audience and get everybody to raise hands, say, do you think taxes are going to go up, or do you think they're going to go down? And it's in unison every single time. Oh, taxes are going to go up. Well, we've seen our government spending, we've seen our national debt, almost double over the last 10 years. And seeing that at some point in time, we're going to have to address that can that we keep kicking further and further down the road. And something's going to have to give at some point in time. And I have a feeling, personally, I think it's going to end up being with an increase in taxes to help offset some of our country's drastic spending or out of control spending, as I've heard many people say. That's something to think about. Question number 7. What tax decisions should you address when leaving an employer? This kind of parries off that last one. And when leaving an employer and you're going into retirement time, are there tax strategies that are beneficial that I can take advantage of and even reduce or eliminate taxes? Well, this is where we will go back to kind of number 2 of which accounts are we drawing from first, and thinking about that. Well, when we're putting a strategy into place, then we can really dive in and say, let's start from these accounts first, or this account over here first, and maybe convert from IRA to a Roth while you start taking maybe a severance or something of that nature, and we get to buy some time that can put us in a lower tax bracket. And I have seen all the way down into a 0% tax bracket. It is actually possible, believe it or not, legally too. That being said, we've actually offered this up a time or two in some of our videos in the past, our retirement income planning checklist, and it is available. If you haven't already, click the link below and download it. You can download it right to your smartphone, your desktop, and even print it out as you see fit. But we kind of get even further in some of these questions, a couple of these points in these questions that we can touch on. It hits a couple other topics in there as well, such as healthcare expenses, long-term care, things of that nature that are going to have an effect and can affect you and your retirement, and something for those to think about. One of the other key ones that's in there is inflation. That's kind of been a hot topic as of late, and we're trying to stay on top of that one as well. But click the link below, and you can download your copy right to your phone or your mobile device. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. We're trying to give a lot of free information, a lot of free downloads and things that you can tangibles that you can get immediately that have valuable information, and we would love to hear feedback for that. If you'd like to visit with one of our advisors, I'll put a link in there as well that you can schedule a meeting. We can do that over a phone call, we can do it over a Zoom, or we can do it here in our office here in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm Colin Evans with Evans Financial Group. Would love to hear your feedback. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.